In today's Leeds news, centre-back rumoured interest, Leeds approach for Wooh, Pope on Buendia move, mixed reports on Bamford, and Firpo's future update. Morning folks, welcome back to The View, 30th of December, Monday morning with your Leeds United news. There's a little bit of rumour stuff to get into. I'll caveat most of these stories as we go through it. They've been linked with a lot of players this week, so we'll cover that. Leeds top of the table again, 2 points clear of Sheffield United, 3 clear of Burnley, and Daniel Farke picking up his 46th win in 80 matches as Leeds United manager, and putting us 3 points ahead of where we were at this point last season. So Leeds trending in the right direction, 2 away wins on the bounce. A massive boost for Leeds, but there's a bit of stuff to get stuck into. We will have a review later on this evening, but we'll start off now by covering some of the rumoured interest from Leeds in players this January. A report from Top Mercato states that Leeds United have made an ambitious bid to bring in RC Lens centre-back Abdulkadir Khusanov. The report states that Leeds have made a bid for the player already in an attempt to see off interest in the player for Manchester City, Newcastle and Tottenham Hotspur, who are all said to be very interested in a move for the player. The tricky part about this deal is the rumoured transfer fee. Apparently, according to this report, Leeds have already bid €20 million, so roughly £17 million, which is expected to be rejected by RC Lens, who want closer to €30 million or £25 million. The 20-year-old is in high demand, and that might be why Leeds are forcing themselves into a move for the player now. But Leeds are more likely to look for experienced defenders should they get promoted back to the Premier League, and another young centre-back coming in for that amount of money might leave Leeds short in an area that they will probably need to strengthen in the summer should we find our way back to the Premier League. So very much a loose report right now. There's been a couple of reports of centre-backs, and there's more defender news as well. Leeds have made an approach for another defender apparently in France. According to French outlet Jeunesse Photo as well as Transfer Market, they claim that Leeds have inquired about RC Lens defender Christopher Wooh. The French outlet reported on the 28th of December that Leeds are one of several European clubs who are said to have inquired about the defender's availability. Wooh is a 23-year-old centre-back who can play centre-back or right-back and has started 10 games this season already for Stade Rennais. Rennais are said to be considering letting the player move out because the fee they can bring in for him will help them to strengthen in other areas in order to help their push into the European spots in the French league right now. Again, age is an interesting one on this. He's a young player. Maybe Leeds are looking at this as another option for the right back position, or maybe it's just a story that's floating around right now. But at the moment, there seems to be a lot of reports in France specifically of Leeds looking at defenders. It is an area looking at the squad right now that could possibly do with a bit of bolstering in January. We still don't know the full situation around Max Fober, whether he's having another knee operation or whether there's something else going on behind the scenes and a possible exit for the player. So Leeds clearly keeping one eye on another defensive option, whether it be for the January window or for the summer remains to be seen just yet. And moving on to a transfer that Leeds have been linked with consistently over the last couple of weeks, and that's the Buendia situation. Leeds continue to be linked with a move for the Aston Villa number 10, and BBC's Adam Pope has given his opinion on the possibility of a move for the player. Yorkshire Evening Post reporter Graham Smith does also believe that Leeds will make a move for a number 10 in January, a position Daniel Farke was very public in talking about in the summer and didn't get then and may want this year. He refused to pour cold water when Graham Smith asked him if Leeds could rule out a marquee signing in January. Farke saying he couldn't rule that out at all. Adam Pope now feels that a move for Buendia in January is unlikely though, and Leeds may look at other options in that number 10 position, and Buendia's lack of minutes in the Premier League this season is seen as the main reason why. Adam Pope on the deal said the following: Buendia has been linked before, but the one-time Aston Villa record signings arrival at Ellen Road, even after only playing 48 minutes of Premier League football this season, seems unlikely. The minutes, how Daniel Farke treats lone players, how Daniel Farke treats players who aren't playing regularly, has been very public about that. That seems to be the main issue with Leeds. Why won't make that move for Buendia? My brother is an Aston Villa fan. We've talked about this. He thinks it's the perfect move for everybody, but the lack of minutes will be a problem. Villa will want him to play. There are other clubs interested in him in the Championship that can guarantee him those minutes, and we know Leeds won't. And Leeds really probably need to bring in players in January that can give them an immediate impact and not someone that has to work up to speed before they can do that. So yeah, I agree with Adam Pope. I think it's unlikely Buendia, but you just never know. Daniel Farke's relationship with the player might sway it in a different direction. But moving on to some exit rumours, and this is a strange one coming this morning. Not strange as in the story, but strange as in the reasonings behind the story. There's still an awful lot of noise around the possible exit of Patrick Bamford from Leeds United in January, and there are varying reports coming out today around the player's future at the club. Wrexham and Genoa last week were linked with move for the player, his wages obviously being the major stumbling block at the moment, but they were seen as two clubs that were very interested in bringing them in. According to Ben Jacobs, he claims that Wrexham have an internal dream of being able to bring Patrick Bamford in and help them in their push to get out of League One and into the Championship. But reports today suggest that Daniel Farke is unlikely to sanction the exit of Patrick Bamford and Joe Gelhardt. Gelhardt, of the two, seems the more likely to go, with reports linking him with a move to Rangers in Scotland repeatedly, and Daniel Farke is unlikely to sanction two exits from the squad in January. Leeds are still being heavily linked with a move for Israeli striker Dor Turgeman, and it looks as if Leeds do that, it will be one out and one in, and not the two going out the door. So Bamford's chances of a January exit from Leeds United seem completely dependent on what happens with Joe Gelhardt's future and whether he moves away. One of these players is losing out. They're both not playing a lot of football. One of them will get the move by the looks of things, not both, unless, as has happened before, somebody puts their foot down and demands a move away from the club. Farke has said before, if anyone wants to leave, they can leave. He won't stand in their way. Leeds need players that are committed to the cause to get promoted this year. So far, so good with the squad that we have. Bamford's played a handful of minutes. Joe Gelhardt's not been in the squad since Bristol City, so all of that kind of does look like Gelhardt's out the door. Bamford might have to sit on the bench a little bit longer, and if Leeds do bring in Turgeman, he might have even more competition for his place then. But it's an interesting situation. It makes sense from Farke's perspective. He doesn't want to upset the squad that he's got too much in January, but a couple of smart moves could give Leeds the edge to get over the line, especially after what happened last year in the back end of the season. So all that needs to be considered. Another player's future that is being talked about heavily at the moment is junior Firpo. Firpo is not expected to be back in action for Leeds United for a couple of weeks yet, with the latest in his injury history. And from January 1st, Firpo can negotiate a free contract away from Leeds United, signing a pre-contract agreement in January to move away from the club for free transfer at the end of this season. According to reports, Leeds are said to be unlikely to offer junior Firpo a new deal in January, and Firpo's defensive capabilities in the Premier League is being seen as one of the major reasons behind that, and Leeds are likely to look at more defensive-minded fullbacks in that area should they get promoted to the Premier League. Leeds looking like they're willing to sit this one out until the end of the year, see where the club is and what division we're in, and then make a decision on Firpo or another left back. Leeds have been linked with a couple of left backs already this year, and it does seem like an area Leeds are focusing on. Isaac Schmidt is waiting in the wings, and Sam Byram and Max Verber have both deputised quite well in that left back position while Firpo's been out injured. Leeds haven't really lost out on much. Sam Byram has played the last 5 games at left back, and that has coincided with Leeds' best run of the season so far. Firpo will even walk straight back into the team right now with the disciplinary issues this year and with the injuries. His season has been really stop-start, and Leeds could be deciding that this is the time to make the break and look at other options in that left back area. They've probably got enough to get them through to the end of the season with what they've got in the squad right now, and they can be patient with this one and see out the contract and see if the player and the club are both interested in the new contract at the end of the season. There is a huge amount of interest from Spain in the player and in Turkey. Real Betis in Spain obviously being the likely one linked with him, and a move back home to his boyhood club is being rumoured as the more likely move for the player come January to sign that deal and a free transfer in the summer for him. So it'd be interesting to see what happens over Firpo. January will be something to keep an eye on with him because of this pre-contract negotiations that can happen. And I suppose Max Ferber is the other one to keep an eye on in January. What is going on with Ferber behind the scenes? Is he injured? Is it a knee operation that's needed? Or is there something bigger going on? And again, all that will probably come out in the next week or so. Daniel Farke has said no transfers before January 4th, which is an interesting thing to say. It's a very specific date to give out to the journalists. And he hasn't poured cold water on any transfers. While this time last year, he was refusing to speak about any deals in January. Now, he is saying that Leeds could make a move for players in January, depending on availability and the player. And we'll have to wait and see. Folks, that will be it for me today. Massive thanks, as always, for supporting the channel. I'll be back tonight with the review with the lads. I'll talk to you soon. Mind yourself. Have a great day. And I'll talk to you later.